Should we go down, mistress? Very, very patient robot. I'm amused at je ne sais pourquoi, and I picked the same exact answer, which, I'm not particularly surprised by. But, yeah. Man. Walked right past Wang. Well, you know what? If you hadn't been like, oh, I need to see you right away, it's really, really urgent, then, maybe she would have stopped to say hi to Wang. I sure would have. Would you recognize Renba if we saw him? Did you meet him? I believe he activated me, mistress, after I was uncovered. I suspect that is why Professor Mayari assigned me to you. Well, so you could be a spy. So, something I find interesting about the design of this robot. Also, uncovered, that's interesting. Something I find very interesting about the design of this robot. Its standard posture is actually quite subservient. Its standard posture has it sits bent forward so that it can stand up straight. See, and when it is standing up straight, it is the same height as a standard human, but it always has itself bent and its hands kind of lowered, its default resting position is that of a supplicant, which I think is interesting. And the fact that it was uncovered. Okay, uncovered. So is he ancient? Is it ancient tech? I don't know. We'll find out. Let's go downstairs. Can I just say, Mistress Aliyah, it is wonderful to be accompanying you. Oh, yes? And why is that? I find humans fascinating, and you are very different to most here. I have only recently been activated. I'm calling you 6. 6, mistress? I shall remember that. Huh. I wonder if I got Mayari's translation correct. I think I did. The shape shows this is an empire piece. Emperor. Oh, hey, so it is letting me. It's so nice of them to actually tell me for sure that I've got it right. That's not what happens in real life. In some cases, games are better than real life. And the emperors believed themselves to be gods, so it makes sense that the words would be almost the same. Almost the same. I'll have to check in a minute. Holy. Okay. Maybe these matter less than I think they do. Because if we ignore that, then we've got two very similar shapes. If we ignore the extra little wibbly bits, we do have some very similar pieces here. But it still doesn't tell me where did this thing come from? Yeah, that was part of my problem. So I was reading an article about a major find in Germany that was unearthed, that was like found covered in like the early 2010s, I want to say. And like it was this really important find. It's this beautiful piece of artwork that was like probably an astronomical calendar of some kind, and like owned by a prince or something, whatever. But like there are a lot of arguments about how old it actually is, whether it belongs to the Iron Age or whether it belongs to not the Copper Age, Bronze Age, whether it's Bronze Age or Iron Age. And like that matters because it's either a very unusual and interesting piece for the Copper Age, or it's a pretty normal piece for the Iron Age, although an unusually large and beautiful thing. The problem is that they can't actually agree. There's still plenty of people who are arguing both sides of this, and part of the reason why they can argue it is because the provenance is very much in question, because it was looted. It was looted and sold on the black market and then recovered. So even though the two men that dug it up and sold it on the black market like testified in court about it, like the location where they found it would put it in the Bronze Age, and the actual shape of the piece means that it's like it would make more sense for it to be Iron Age, and it's just like, and there's some concern that it's actually a fake, and like there's all this stuff about it. But anyway, so provenance matters. Finding pieces in situ matters a lot, especially since you can't carbon date artifacts like those. You have to carbon date the material around them, and if it's been disturbed, then you can't get an accurate date, which means that you can't be as certain about the provenance of the item. Anyway. Whew. What, are we like 10 minutes into gameplay? 5 minutes into gameplay? Oh, I also think it's interesting that, like, we had that conversation about the statue, and it's a larger version of the thing that's on Mayari's desk. It's also clearly very, very in alignment with the decoration of the rest of the place. Oh, what? Oh, Flying found me. Alia, tell me, are you still wasting your time on your curious notions of history? Oh, it's curator. History isn't mine. Apparently you can get interrupted in this game. It belongs to everybody. Most of us are decent people, Alia, and do not want it. You should devote yourself to a real science. Metallics, maybe. With philosophy. History is a science. It's the exploration of the past. Through evidence and theory. Honestly. Most people think you will not be content until you have unearthed your own skull. Good faith to you, Alia. May the waters light your way. What an asshole! What an incredible, unasked for asshole! Good God! Here I am, just living my life, trying to do my shit, thinking about history, and this asshole shows up and tells me that decent people don't want to know about history? Decent people. Decent people don't want to know about history. Lol, by the way, your life's work is totally useless and also morally bankrupt. I can't. Who the fuck is this guy? What exactly is he curating if he's anti-history? What? Are you curating bad ideas, my dude? Are you curating blind faith? Since apparently the loop is an acceptable thing to study? What? Okay. The fact that Alia is the person working on history now makes more sense. She's the only one. She's it. That's what you got. You got 130-something that is the entire history department, because apparently history is for degenerates and for people who don't, have enough faith in the loop or something, maybe? I don't even think. Definitely no knowledge for knowledge's sake, folks, among at least the curator isn't. The thing is that somebody she addressed him as the curator. Hello, curator. She didn't give him a last name, which means that he's probably the only one, because, if you've just got one book, it's a book. If you've got more than one book, there's the red book and the not red book, right? Okay, so this guy is the curator. Okay, yeah, no, this is really bugging me. If he's the curator, okay, what is he curating? Curators work at museums. Museums have artifacts. Artifacts are history. Are related to history. But apparently, history is for degenerates. So is this guy just is he anti-history because then he'd actually have to do a job? Is he just got a cushy position where he gets to do nothing but judge other people for their life's work choices? And yet, we've got this friend of the dean. We've got this friend of the dean who's sent back an artifact, which means that Alia cannot be the only one who cares. I think I'm actually more offended than if he had been lol, get back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich and get a husband. There is something more enraging about that piece of condescension than your standard misogynistic bullshit. It wasn't just lol, you're spending your time wrong. He just walks up to her and it's like, hey, Alia, see, are you still a piece of shit? I mean, okay, so there is also the little wrinkle in there that there is no way that guy doesn't know that Mayari basically mentored her and brought her into the university, right? It's possible that he's jealous or feels like she's getting special privileges or, whatever, because humans are like that. So, totally possible. But really, though, what the fuck is he curating? What is he curating?